This morning, a landmark study of cancer in the United States is showing us where we stand in the fight against America's #2 killer.
40 years ago, President Nixon launched the war on cancer, and since then, great strides have been made. Success measured by the stories of survivors.
My name is Lisa Bernhard. I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I've been cancer-free for 16 years. When I got the diagnosis from the doctor, I was in the hospital. He had done a surgical biopsy, and he walked in and his head was down, and I just was staring at his eyes. I was trying to read his eyes. What is he going to tell me? What is he going to tell me? And he came up to me and he said, "It's a tumor." So I said, "You mean cancer?" And he just kind of put his head down and nodded and said yes.
I'm Lance Meyerowitz. I'm non-Hodgkin's cancer-free since April of 2009, and I'm Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer-free for 3 months. I had to do a combination of 2 different chemotherapy treatments, so I was doing one month and then a different one another month, and we would alternate. It's like being poisoned. You know, you try to explain it, and the problem is with chemotherapy, you're taking out the good and the bad cells. So, throwing the baby out with the bathwater is probably a good analogy to it.
My name is Scott Slater. I am a testicular cancer survivor, and I have been cancer-free for 5 years now. With testicular cancer, that is a very treatable form of cancer. The numbers are fairly good. I feel like when the numbers are good, you almost get pushed through the system, like everyone's saying, "Oh, don't worry about it. This is routine. It's fine. We do this every day." And all that kept going through my mind was, well, I don't do this every day.
So a lot of times the emotional fallout, I think, comes after the treatment, where you're sitting around thinking, am I a ticking time bomb? Is this going to come back?
The good news is there's treatments and there's cures.
Being a cancer survivor makes you very aware that life isn't about necessarily what happens to you, but how you choose to respond to what happens to you.
I have my very last biannual checkup coming up in November. And that's the point where they're going to say, what I hope to hear is that not only are you all free, but you're not doing this anymore. And again, that's going to be petrifying, but it's the moment you really end up looking forward to.
CBS News medical correspondent Dr. Jon LaPook is here with us this morning to tell us and give us a closer look at how far we've come, how far we still have to go. Nice to have you with us this morning.
Great to be here. Good morning. The good news is mortality rates from cancer have been steadily dropping since 1990. But still, according to the report from the American Association for Cancer Research, more than 500,000 people died last year alone. 1 every minute of every day. 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. But with better treatments, there are now 12 million cancer survivors.
So now 12 million, that's the good news.
Yeah.
And we hear how positive some of those people were. Some pretty big advances. Walk us through some of the biggest advances that we've seen.
Erica, the biggest thing is personalized medicine, these targeted therapies. In the old days, we used to throw the kitchen sink at cancer, chemo, radiation. And the problem is we hoped that we would kill the cancer before we killed the patient, because we were affecting normal cells at the same rate that we were affecting cancer cells. And now with these targeted therapies, we figured out what is the difference between a cancer cell and a normal cell. And we're able to target that cancer cell, leave the normal cell alive, and just go after the cancer cell. So that's a really big advance.
What cancers are we beating? Which ones are still extremely tough to treat?
Well, the biggest advance is with early detection, really, okay? Because once it's widespread, it's really tough. But with things like breast, cervix, colon, melanoma, you pick it up early, there's more than a 90% survival rate, okay? But, early childhood cancers, those are much better now than 30 years ago. But the problem is there are some that really we're no good at anymore, and that's lung cancer, brain, pancreas, ovary. These are really tough. We have to do a lot more research.
Yeah. So as you have to do a little bit more research on those, what can people do? What can we all do in our everyday life to limit our chances of getting any cancer?
It's an amazing fact. 50% of cancers are felt to be preventable. 50%.
That seems really high.
It's staggering.
In a good way.
30% from smoking. So the top 3 things you can do are stop smoking, and never start smoking. Okay, really. Yeah. I mean, it's key. And then things like obesity, lack of exercise, those are associated with increased risk. And then big questions, our environment, our diet, are there things that we need to learn about that we can do to help make ourselves less fertile for cancer?
And those are some of the things that everyone is studying. Always nice to have you here. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Great. Good to see you.
Just ahead, an update for you on that huge satellite now hurtling toward Earth. Where might it end up? Should you be concerned? You're watching The Early Show on CBS.